welcome to a new episode of Comadres y Comics. This is episode 225. 225. Anyways, we are your hosts. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jen.
Good.
Hi guys, welcome back. How's everybody doing?
Honestly, that's as much as I can say after being tortured in this Southern California heat wave that happened. We are not used to this heat down here near the beach area, and the humidity and the heat got so crazy over the last couple of weeks that being alive actually I'm shocked because I was touch and go there for a few days.
Oh gosh, that is so true. I was in front of my fan, just kind of sitting there like naked, just wiping the sweat away. It was so disgusting. Disgusting. So, what's up with everybody? What's been going on? I know we're a little bit like
No, I'm just
tired.
looking at your picture
see that.
because you're all blurry to me. And
I mean,
really? Okay,
You're blurry to me
then,
too.
Mackenzie didn't
Yes,
mention anything
you are
about
blurry
it, so
to
I'm
me as
guessing
well.
that the actual end product is okay.
I've noticed that.
Because I think it records locally.
yes.
So before
Got
like,
it.
being uploaded. So
Makes
like
sense.
you
Makes
will
sense.
be crystal
Okay.
clear.
Yes.
So
that's what I've noticed.
Clear too, as
What's
well.
been
I've
up
noticed
with
that.
me
Yeah.
is just plugging along, doing the same old. I had a 10K race on Sunday in the middle of this heat wave, which actually I was very worried about because the temperature, as I was monitoring it, kept getting higher and higher and higher. And we lucked out, actually. Unfortunately, the race director canceled the 10K and made it a 5K. They already had a 5K, so everybody had to run the 5K. But they said if you wanted to run the 5K course twice, you could. That just allowed them to bring all the resources from the 10K route into the smaller 3-mile section. So my running group and I did that. We ran, still ran 10K, but it was so hot. They had a race representative at one of the fire hydrants on the side of the road. Okay, this is what they said in the email. You're going to have more water stations now. There's going to be a misting section. Okay, so if you guys have ever seen misting sections like at games or concerts or whatever,
fancy.
it's like a tent and, there's mist just spraying out everywhere. This was a motherfucker sitting on the fire hydrant spraying it at people as they went by.
Oh no, that's not missing.
Oh no.
And he just and it wasn't even like
And
it was
just
just a
missing
small, like
hot water
section
on you.
because I'm sure if you let it go full blast, it would just go all over the place. But it was barely even enough to like cool you off. And then they said there's going to be ice cold drinks at the end. There were no ice cold drinks. They did have ice cold towels though, so that really helped. But I didn't die.
Okay.
And because of a glitch in the system, because I was registered as a 10K runner, my 5K time, because I ran 3 miles off course before the race even started, and then another 3 miles. Because I don't want to run it twice, because if I ran it again after the start time, it would have already been a lot hotter. So we ran it before. But anyhow, it recorded my 5K time, which is only 3 miles, but it said I ran 10K, which is 6. So I PR'd my 10K. I got a personal record because it said that I ran 6 miles in 44 minutes.
Oh.
Wow.
Look at you beating the
So
system.
how about you? You guys are both alive too, so praise be the gods.
That is so cool.
Honestly, it's like I feel like I don't know what heat is anymore since I moved up here. Because I'm just all like, once it starts getting past like 85 degrees, I'm like, it's too hot.
Aw.
It's too hot. But
Aw,
I
she's
still have that SoCal frame of mind of anything under 70 degrees is cold as fuck. So in the mornings, I'd be walking out with a long sleeve, and then by the end of the
Yeah.
day, well, the end of my like work shift, I'm just like, I'm
Yeah.
really dying right now.
And for me, it's really
Wow.
the
Too
humidity
hot.
that does it.
Oh yeah,
Like I can
agreed.
handle heat because I grew up in the Central Valley. It gets into the 120s there. Sometimes when I go to visit during the summertime, it's like 106, 107, and I'm fine. But the humidity is just too much. But
Yeah.
Right,
Like
right.
I can deal with the dry heat. Hell, when I went to Las Vegas for my birthday, that
yeah,
dry heat there, oh, I was fine. I was just
right.
like, all right, I just need my water and I just like need to dip into the casinos for AC every once in a while. But I was doing fine. Then up here, like the humidity and everything, it's just so choking. I was just like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not leaving the house as soon as I get in here. Just count me out. I'm not getting shit
Right.
done.
That's crazy. Well, I have some news. My
She was
my
your first
doggy, my
doggy?
very first doggy pet ever in my life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We had to put her, yeah, ever in my life. Yes. We had to take her to get her euthanized because she was already doing pretty bad, where she was laying there and she wouldn't even try to get up anymore on her little paws.
Oh.
And so like she would cry when she needed to go to the restroom, and she never cries. And so I would carry her to the backyard and then spread her little legs and hold on to her like a little puppet until she peed or pooped, then bring her back. But by the second day, which was the day after Frank got back from Nicaragua,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty happy that he got to see her before we put her down. And at that point, she wasn't even crying anymore. She was just letting it go, like just peeing and pooping on herself. And we had these pee and poop pads under her, and we would clean her up and bathe her and stuff like that. But we were able to get fit in by our vet emergency, and so we took her in on September 5th, and yeah, we had to let her go.
Oh, I'm
sh-
so sorry,
we
Sarah.
we did. I can honestly say we did everything for her because there we had already been, because she had osteoporosis, and so several years had passed. We used to have, what we do have actually, the mattress and the box spring, right? We took the box spring out, put it in storage, and then just had the um the top mattress just on the floor so she could climb up to the bed, because she could no longer jump on because of the height. And not only that, then we saw that she would sometimes slip. So we ended up getting like,
Mhm.
those stress mats you can stand
Mhm.
on that are like fluffy so that it doesn't hurt your back. We had
Mhm.
5 of them piled up against the
wow.
mattress so that whenever she would step off, she wouldn't hurt herself. And towards the end, we made a lot of changes like that, just for her, just to kind of accommodate her health needs and stuff. So but she was already like 14 years old, so she passed. This is one of the cute pictures I have of her, and this
Aw.
is just a reminder that if you log on to YouTube, you could actually see our expressions and maybe see the pictures that we hold up to the camera, or whatever we're talking about, we do hold up to the camera, maybe the books we're reading and the beer we were drinking. So if you're listening,
Did she freeze?
sorry about that, guys. Looks like we're having technical difficulties, but now it's time for Chisme de la Semana. And I got some chisme. We got some chisme. Anyway, we have just heard that the Comic Arts Professional Society, it's actually CAPS, is shutting down at almost 50 years of being in, I guess, in service. They were
Wow.
almost hitting their 50 years, right? Yeah, fortunately, I guess nobody
Wow.
wanted to take up the mantle as president of CAPS. So, and the current president is stepping down. We have yet to hear from the president or from CAPS on Facebook of this announcement. We got this chisme from people who were members of CAPS that have posted on Facebook. So that's some juicy chisme. Can't wait to actually hear what the current president, or should I say previous president, and or the CAPS Facebook has to say about that. We have like actually no further chisme on that, except that they're disbanding after almost 50 years of being a society of arts
I'll add
professionals.
some chisme to it because I I have somebody close who in my household who was a member, and 50 years, I had no idea that it was that long. Um, and I do think that actually it is an organization that had the potential to do a lot of great things for comic creators. But the chisme on the grapevine is that to begin with, the organization was not that much of a support or help in any kind of professional way. It was kind of just an old boys club full of comic creators, male comic creators who used it as an excuse to get together once a month and have dinner and have a beer. And over the years, it had evolved, and obviously over the year, the comic industry has evolved, and of course, um, online comics, web comics, digital, all that kind of stuff has evolved with the industry. And some of the old guard did not like that and did not approve of it, and actually distanced themselves away from the
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
organization. And the last president was actually a woman, and to her credit, she did come on to the position and actually have a lot of great ideas of things that she wanted to do for the comic book creators. But unfortunately, it just never really fully came to fruition. Um, with all of the great ideas, she did accomplish getting Cap's representation at a lot of comic conventions over the last couple of years. She wanted to really offer supportive services to the creators, like legal counsel, self publishing, that kind of thing, which are all amazing, great ideas. But it just seems like maybe it was too much to take care of, and she bit off more than she could chew. Because in the email specifically mentions how she feels like she didn't have enough time to be able to put towards her role as president. And apparently must be true because nobody else wanted to take up the mantle either. Um, Probably citing that they also didn't have the time. So I hope actually that this isn't the end of Caps, or isn't the end of something similar that can maybe evolve itself into something bigger and better for the creators, because I think that it's very important for them to have a place to get together and talk about things, but also the supportive services I feel like are sorely needed for this group of creators who really, for the most part, are independent workers. They are contract workers for the most part. So, of course, contract work comes with absolutely no benefits whatsoever.
Right, right. And just having that, like we always say when we go to conventions and we go to
Mhm.
panels, we learn so much and we experience the people's creators' passion and so forth. So, like, this was a group where they can get together and kind of like inspire each other. And it's kind of a sad moment when you see that nobody's willing to take up the mantle of president, and also nobody can find the time, and people just blaming other parties for their disbanding. So, I hope to hear maybe from CAPS themselves and maybe the president herself, see what actually went on. Maybe it was not enough support for these services and these ideas. I mean, I don't know. All I know is that there are several posts about it disbanding, and that's very unfortunate. But I also have more chisme. More. Más. Monster Matador is a finalist for the 2024 International Latino Book Awards. And it's very exciting to have 97 book categories. And we actually reviewed Monster Matador, Tango of the Matador, on episode 92. So if you want to like know a little bit more about this comic book, we know the creators and we're really happy for them. We are really excited for them that they've been finalists for this International Latino Book Awards. So hopefully they do get their award. I'm very excited. They got this little sticker now that they're finalists of the International Latino Book Awards. So that's always so awesome to see. So congratulations to them. Just being nominated, I think, is great, but being a finalist is even better. So good luck to that team.
So Stephen Prince is the
Monster Matador
creator, and we can say
the
we
writer.
knew him when.
Yes, we did. Definitely. One of the very first comic books, I think, right at the beginning of our podcast that we reviewed, and then went on to review the kind of rebirth of Monster Matador when he relaunched the series once again. So, very excited for them out there. All right, guys, now it's time for On My Radar. And On My Radar is the re-release in theaters September 20th of Blue Beetle. And they're releasing it in theaters September 20th in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. So that's pretty exciting. If you didn't get a chance to watch Blue Beetle in the theaters and you want to watch it with your popcorn and your slushy, you better get out there September 20th. And I say slushy because that's what I get every time I go to the theater. And I'm so excited because I do not drink slushy any other time except when I go see a movie. So that's exciting. And I also don't eat popcorn unless I go to the movie. So yeah, that's a great combination. So I love
I have
popcorn
a
too,
bag of kernels in my cupboard, and you just get paper bags and put a little bit of popcorn in it. I measure out like a third of a cup and put it in the microwave, and you make your own popcorn without any of the excessive sodium or butter. And I always melt butter and put it on, but it's so simple and easy and cheap.
I'm gonna do that.
I don't even do the microwave. You know what I do sometimes? I just do the old school, like a little bit of oil, put the kernels in on the stovetop, and
2.5 minutes.
So like I'm traumatized. So I'm traumatized because they microwave popcorn because of what happened to the founder of Chimera Press, and then also traumatized from the stovetop popcorn from Scream, the very first original Scream
Jiffy
movie.
Pop.
So yeah, like but yes,
that's
so
that.
That is on my radar. Bar Kristen, you have an on my radar. Let us know what is on your radar.
Last year at San Diego Comic-Con, I was meandering through Artist Alley on preview night, which is the only day you can meander through Artist Alley at Comic-Con, because otherwise it is a shit show of sardines, people packed shoulder to shoulder. Yes. You can't even take full size steps because that's how many people are there. But I came across the table of an artist, and his name is Marco Lorenzana, and he is a Mexican illustrator. And he had on his table a lot of his sketches and stuff, but he had this book called A Haunted Girl. And Marco kicked off his professional career in the pages of heavy metal and also with Aspen Comics with a comic called Overtaken. He's collaborated with Xenoscope. He's drawn for Marvel's Hulk, Secret Empire, Brave New World, and Ultimates 2. And he has teamed up with writer Ethan Sachs on this book called A Haunted Girl. And the reason why it's on my radar, other than the fact that one of the creators is Mexican, is that it is September, and in addition to Hispanic Heritage Month, it is also Suicide Prevention Month. And this book deals with a 16-year-old girl who is an adopted American Japanese American, and her anxiety and depression drive her to suicidal thoughts. In this book, she is fresh out of a psychiatric hospital and is trying to unsuccessfully to reintegrate back into her old life. But there is, and the reason that this really caught my eye is this is a horror book. So there's really a lot of horror elements to the book, but the personal journey that the main character is going through deals with depression and anxiety. And the thing that I found super, super interesting is that it's written by Ethan Sachs and Naomi Sachs. It's a father-daughter collaboration. And it's based, I found information about it being based on some of their own personal experiences. And so it's basically a 4-issue graphic novel, horror miniseries. And the external plot is supernatural and quote unquote scary, but the main character's inner journey deeply involves mental health as she returns, like I said, to high school after her stay in the hospital. And the other thing that I found really interesting is that the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention promotes this book and supports this book, specifically because Ethan and Naomi reached out to them in advance to make sure that they handled the topics of suicide and anxiety safely and appropriately. A Haunted Girl, it is 4 issues, single issues, but this is the collection of the story, and it is what's on my radar.
That's so cool. And the spook, it's both awesome, and because it's a
That is
horror
really
comic, you
awesome.
can get in the mood
For Halloween.
October. Yes.
Off
our favorite
topic, but Color
time.
Street just released their Halloween nails this or they're going to release them on Friday. And I've been seeing them all over the internet, and they're really good this year. Yes.
Really? Oh my God. I'm going to
Yes.
check it out because I haven't done Color Street in a while, like put it on my nails, but it's always my favorite time to do it, like in Halloween and in Christmas and Thanksgiving too, because it's fall colors.
Yes.
Really cool. I'm going to go get my beer.
Okay.
I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, same.
I'm gonna put the clip thing right when I start the segment. The mark clip thing.
As usual, please ignore the giant mess that is made.
Okay.
Anyways, I got it.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Put it in the freezer. It's so ice cold right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Did a good job because I put it right on top of the ice.
All right, guys. Now it's my favorite time. The time has come, guys. It is la hora de la cervecita. What are we drinking today, ladies? What are we drinking today?
I'm really excited about this because it is Sweetwater Brewing Company's Gummies Sweet Punch Double IPA. Now, whenever I think of an IPA, especially a double, I do not think of fruit punch. And it is its can art is full of this like vibrant, bright fruit. There's blueberry, strawberry, orange, cherries, and then there's like little gummy worms, gummy sharks, gummy rings. So my mouth is watering just thinking about it right now. So I've been eyeing this beer since we started recording, and I am really looking forward to tasting it. And it smells amazing.
It's from Atlanta, Georgia, but I got it at 310 at Sepulveda and Western here in Torrance. Not here in Torrance, but in Torrance. And I instantly looked at the gummies, and I saw IPA, and I was like, we got to taste that. We got to try that. It is.
I know. When you poured it, it's
Right?
so
A double
light.
IPA? It doesn't look like a
And
double
it's
IPA.
a 9.5%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this.
I had to pay the husband tax.
Oh my God. Wow.
Smells good, actually.
It
Like,
does.
these are like
Wow.
it does smell like gummies. Like when you open like a bag of like Sour Patch Kids or like
Mm.
I
the
think I
sour
messed
the
up my
sour worms.
palate because I was drinking iced tea before I took my
And
first
they have
drink.
like Swedish fish on it.
I didn't like it.
Uh-oh. I am not a fan of gummy candy. Starting from the gummy bears back in its inception to any like Sour Patch Kids or anything.
Are you serious?
But I was very interested. Yeah, I'm not a gummy person. I do not know why. But I know, right?
Oh. Fruit Gushers was definitely
have
your
never
era,
even-
your generation's
Gushers.
candy.
Fruit Gushers.
Yeah.
I've never had fruit gushers, but I was really intrigued because I always want to try to bring something different to our Hora de la Cervecita, and you know I'm always stuck on IPAs and like so I wanted to make sure
I
we
think
did
I have a
something
bad
different,
batch.
so that's why I got this
Mine
one.
tastes like a porter, a straight up freaking porter.
Are you
Yes.
serious? Maybe you.
No, I feel
I'm
left
not-
out.
It's
I'm
really
not gonna
delicious.
lie, I fucking love this. You might not have a bad batch. It just this does
It
not taste
tastes like
a
a
double.
porter
No, it
to
does
me.
not.
This doesn't taste like like an IPA.
And it doesn't
period.
taste like
I
gummies.
think
It
for
doesn't
me-
taste like fruit punch. It tastes like straight up coffee.
Oh,
To me, it does taste like someone took.
I want to taste
bunch of gummies
that. I'm
and
very
just
upset right
liquefied
now. It smelled good, but it did not
Okay.
smell like it tastes like it smelled.
okay. To be completely honest, Kristen has been a little
Oh,
sick today,
I
so maybe
really like
that
it.
has something to do with her taste buds.
Oh, this is horrible.
Oh, I'm
maybe.
sorry.
Aw,
I think.
like to me, yeah.
Oh my god.
Like,
it does.
to me. This
You know
like,
what it
to
tastes
me,
to
this
me? It
tastes
tastes
like
to
candy.
me like you remember
tastes-
when Jen she puts her lollipops in the beer and swirls them around. This is what I think that
Nope.
tastes like.
This tastes like coffee ass.
No, not at all. No, we do. I do not get that at all. And I love coffee. I
Wow. I love these like three different like interpretations. We have ass, the tastiest thing I have ever
no.
tasted.
I
and you're like,
wanted
how
to
am
really
how
like
I
it, and
imagine.
it smelled really good, but it
I
tastes
love this. This is
horrible
great.
to me. But again, I keep drinking it
I am enjoying it
because
so
I
much.
It
wanted
smells
to
like
make
Kool-Aid
sure that it wasn't the
someone
fact
threw-
that I was drinking this really
Mhm.
tart tea before I've been making sun tea with all of my fancy teas from the tea place. What's it called? Chado. All my fancy chado teas. I've been
Okay.
making sun tea with it. And so I have some
Oh,
here
yeah.
that's very, very strong and very tart because it was like a peach melba tea. And so I was drinking that, and then I drank this, and I'm like, maybe that's why. So I keep drinking this to see if it's gonna like get rid of whatever horrible thing I had on my palate first. But keeps getting worse and worse, and it smells good.
You know, and that's so weird. Even now burping, it's a good taste burp. It's weird.
Nope.
Like
I can't do it.
it's so good.
Mm-mm.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, you were definitely sick. Yeah, do
God.
not. But it's good.
Yeah, don't force yourself. But
Yeah.
I wish you could, so you could
If I
tell
could
me if
take
I
it,
got a
yeah.
bad batch.
this
I
is
think I got a bad batch.
literally
No,
so good to me.
Blech.
I just think it's because you haven't really eaten and you were sick earlier. That's what I think. I'm actually enjoying the crap out of this. I'm sipping because I don't. It's a 9.5, and I don't want to just guzzle. Me too. Me too.
I want to chug this.
Okay. Okay. Drink your
I
tea.
need
Drink
some
your
water
tea.
now.
Horrible.
All right. Yeah.
Garçon, garçon, agua, por
Use
favor.
your palate.
Oh, I did. I gave him some.
Yeah.
He came
Give it to
out.
Eddie.
He
See
always
what-
takes a taste.
give it to Eddie,
That's when
see
I
what he
said. I
says.
paid the husband tax because he took some, but he hasn't said anything. So I don't know. Eddie, did you like it or was
Have to
gross?
get you.
He's gonna come tell us.
Incredible.
It tastes like that golden porter that Santa Monica Brewery makes.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it tastes like. It tastes
Okay.
like their golden porter.
Oh,
It's
so you're
wild
right. It did
porter.
taste like a porter.
I did not like it. But even the golden porter I
Oh.
was okay with. And it's not even that it tasted like
I-
a porter that turned me off. It's that it was like a yucky porter. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Anyhow, I'm ready to rate it.
What's our rating scale?
Fair enough.
We have a 5-point rating scale with 1 being very unsatisfied, a 2 being just regularly unsatisfied, a 3 right in the middle being neutral, a 4 being satisfied, and then so very unsatisfied, neutral, satisfied, and very satisfied. And then if you really like it, it's Super Saiyan, and if you really hate it, it's flaccid. And that is a rollover from our old rating scale. And I am
yes.
at 100%. It's not even flaccid. It's a
Yep.
micropene flaccid. A flaccid micropene.
Ooh. Is it jumping in the cold water where there's a retraction of the tentacles?
Yes. It's a
Wow.
micro 1-inch peen that is in the cold ocean. And flaccid.
Wow. Wow. Well, this is Sarah, and I just want to take this moment to remind you guys, if you guys out there are listening to us in audio format, be sure to check us out on YouTube. You can please do like and subscribe, and you can see the actual visual of the beer we are drinking. And this is Sarah, and I am fighting myself to chug this because I really like it. The smell is delicious, although I'm not a gummy person, and that says a lot. I really like the taste, and not only that, there has a little bit of a hint of a kind of a sourness in the back of it, but also when I burp, it tastes like punch. So I just
think
love
that's
it.
why I'm so offended,
What-
because I love gummy candy.
And I don't, and I love it. Yeah.
I love gummy candy too. And let me tell you, I think this is really good. It smells like Kool-Aid. It tastes
Oh,
like blended
I would
gummy.
love to
And
taste
you're right, when you
Hawaiian
burp,
fruit
it
punch
tastes like
burps.
Hawaiian fruit punch. I'm
And it's a 9.5. Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I
Yes,
really,
I
really
said
like this.
very satisfied.
Sarah, did you rate it already?
Oh my
Ooh.
gosh.
I think I'm gonna give
Dear
this a Super Saiyan.
Lord. That
I really, really like this. This has
an
captured
IPA.
everything that I have ever wanted
Yes.
I'm so
Out
And
of
you know
like-
how we've said
out of an IPA. Yes. It does not like. Okay, I will give it. If you would have told me this was an IPA, I would have called you a dirty, filthy liar. I would have said. I
Oh,
would have
yeah,
said like,
true,
"Are you
true,
sure
true,
this isn't like a saison or something
Oh
like that?
yeah.
Or like
Yep.
a
Mhm.
maybe like a wit beer that someone poured sugar into?
Nope, at
Because
all. No.
it does not. It is not giving IPA at all. And
Yep.
TBH, that is its greatest blessing. So if you actually, you know what, if you like IPAs, I can see you having like
Yeah.
Kristen's reaction. If you don't like IPAs,
Well, I am
This is
IPA
it
lover
right here.
numero uno in
This
this
is it.
podcast, and I'm loving this. And I don't even like gummies. I don't like Sour Patch Kids. I don't like those donuts. I don't
Oh,
like
I
the
love
worms.
them
I don't like the
all.
bears. And none of that. I do not like it. I
I
don't
do
crave it.
too.
Never. Like I've right. I only used to buy them
I
for
do
my
not
brother.
like
He
when
loves
they give
gummies.
him.
But this beer, oh my Lord, it is just giving me some kind of feeling. I feel that, it could be a beer cocktail where you put it in a glass and you hang little gummies along the rim, I think that would be awesome. And you know what? Mhm.
You know what? Also, I had iced coffee before recording, so maybe that's not why I'm tasting like what Kristen's tasting either, because I had coffee before this,
Right.
and I was just like, well, I know how coffee tastes like, and this ain't coffee.
But
so maybe my brain
it doesn't
isn't,
make
like,
sense because I love coffee. I drink like 2 cups of coffee a day, and this does not give me any coffee flavor at all. Not even the slightest, not even like a teeny bit. But anyway, this is what I promised to you, Kristen. Once you I'm gonna look for another can. And once you get better, you taste it again.
Okay.
Okay? On your own private time. And then let me
Okay.
know how you felt about it. But that has been our beer review. All right, guys, now it's time for our book review. What are we reviewing today?
Today, we are reviewing Manga Muerto, the perfect collection by Javier Hernandez. At this point, Javier, I'm gonna start charging you money for how much we review your books. And don't get me wrong, I love it every single time because there is something new and different. But this is like a collected works of because I remember when he was making the like single issues. I think I still have one somewhere around here. They were like
Yeah.
the paper
Yes, I
versions
think
and
it's
stuff
4
like that. So I'm
different
guessing this is a
stories
collection
that
of
is a
all of those.
collection. It was a collaboration on one story with Rafael Navarro, the creator of Sonambulo, and Ted
I know
Seco,
Ted.
who he created Skyman Fusion Android, which also makes an appearance in one of the stories in this book, which I thought was a cute collaboration. And I actually read the foreword in this comic. I usually don't because words, but but I did, and there's a foreword by George Garza, and George Garza, he is an amazing artist of Sal art,
Oh, yeah, look.
where he has these.
He does this kind of stuff.
Oh, that's so
This
cool.
is Wolverine
Yes.
in his art style.
Yes, and I love his t-shirts, and he also did single issue comic books. We reviewed what was that comic about the mask? Anyway, it was an amazing book, and we've been asking for like a issue 2, even though he was in it. Yes, yeah, Wrath of the
Like Wrath
yes,
of the Mask or something like that.
Wrath of something.
It was really good.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Didn't you
It's
say that
so
was, like, your
good. Yes,
first comic
I
too? I
still
was
talk
just
to him
like,
about
damn.
like
I have
anyway.
no
I still talk to him
recollection
about
of
it.
this whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's remember when there was a mask and then they would find it and they would put it on.
Yeah.
It was like a haunted mask.
Yes,
They would
yes.
put it on.
And
they'd
then there
get
were these
possessed, and then
kids
they'd,
that
like,
were
go
like
around and
playing
eat people
sacrifices, and they
basically.
used like a tomato as the
Yes.
heart. I always talk to him about that. I'm like, that's one of my favorite parts of your story. Anyways, I always geek out with him. Me too. Right? It's so cool.
I could see
And
myself doing that as a
and then
kid.
I said I think after we reviewed it, I went up to him and I said, "Hey, when are you gonna come up with issue 2?" He's like, "Well, no, that was meant to be a one shot." And I'm like, but I need to know more." And so, like, just recently at Modesto, he said, "You know what? Enough people have told me that they want to read more about that story that I'm really contemplating releasing a
Nice.
second issue." And I was like, "Yes, please do." So we've been waiting. Anyway, so there's a foreword by him, which I thought was an amazing intro to the comic. And then there's a also like word from the creator, which is super cool. And yes, it's the making of Manga Muerto, which we then realized that um he wrote the very last story in this book in 20 I mean, I'm sorry, not 2009. So if the story seems familiar because it's the El Muerto story and like the origins, but it's in a different take because it's an origin story based out of kind of like a parallel universe where he finds himself as an exchange student, a foreign Mexican exchange student in Japan. And I thought that was really cool. So what do you guys think?
I guess what I like about it is okay. So like way back in like I want to say like maybe the late 80s, early 90s, around there. Dark Horse had a lot of rights to a bunch of like manga, like Fist of the North Star, whatchamacallit, like some other like Astro Boy, like a bunch of these like really like old school, uh, like manga and stuff like that. And how they published them was not in the original tankobon format or like the like magazine format. They would flip the images and reverse them so that they reflected how, because manga is meant to be read from uh
Back to front.
yeah, from back to
Back to
front,
front?
and is it right to left
Yes.
or left to right?
Right to left.
Right to left. Yeah, right to left.
Yes.
Because that's just how it is in Japan. And now, if you look at modern manga today, that is how it has been reprinted here. But in the past, they're just like, nah, English audiences don't understand this. So they would flip the images so that they read from front to back and then from left to right instead of right to left. And then they would publish them as like really big comic book issues, all in black and white. And this is what this really reminded me of, that of like those like really old school ones that we would find, that sometimes we would find at the shop, Kristen, or like people would be like, I have these and these are like I got them back in the 80s, are they worth anything? And I'd be like, bro, these are worthless. Unless you have an issue number 1 original Japanese version of Astro Boy, I'm not interested.
Right.
And even then, good luck.
And just I'm gonna interject a little bit here. The last story of El Muerto makes reference and that does a little bit like of a history of the back story of how he ended up in Japan, and how he actually, El Muerto, Diego de la Muerte, learned Japanese by watching the Spanish sub and reading the manga and adapting the words, and that's how he learned most of his Japanese. And I thought that was really interesting,
Yeah.
because a lot of people have said that they learn certain different languages or just different words in other languages just by kind of like matching the audio in their native language with the book version and how it's actually written.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
No, you mentioning that just reminds me. I originally watched Dragon Ball Z in Spanish only. Like, because before and whatchamacallit, one of the voice actors even tells this story a lot too whenever he's at one of the shows, how they would have to, before they could even translate into English the Japanese audio, because it just wouldn't arrive in time, they would actually first get the Spanish audio, because this like Mexico was getting and pumping them out like no fucking tomorrow.
Nobody's business.
And so they were just
right?
like, well, we're not going to wait for the translators to come in and like do all of that. We're just going to get the Spanish audio, translate that, and then translate the Spanish to the English. So that
right.
makes sense.
And even the English changed the story anyway. But yes, Mexico has been known for like churning out absolutely almost all their cartoons are like coming from Japan. Heidi, what was another one? Candy Candy, all these like Los Caballeros del Zodiaco. I don't even know what they're called in Japanese. I know it's Saint Seiya in English, Caballeros del Zodiaco in Spanish, but I can't remember what it's called in Japanese. I actually saw Dragon Ball. I started watching Dragon Ball in Japanese, and that's how I know Gohan means rice, and Otosan means mom. Okasa, no,
Okasa is
Otosan
mom.
means dad. Okasa
Otosan
is
is-
mom. Etan is dad. Yeah.
Or it could be uncle. 50-50 on how
Yeah,
you pronounce
or
it.
Nani means what?
Yeah.
So like I learned a little bit, a tiny bit, but I did. And this was before I even saw it in Spanish, and then later on I couldn't even watch the English version because they just fucked up the storyline completely for me.
Sailor Moon
Anyway,
will always
continue.
be famous to me.
Oh, Sailor Moon in English though. That I only saw it in English.
This is why they confused
So
a lot of people. They translated the
yes,
lesbians into cousins.
Uh,
right. So sad. Yeah.
But yeah, reading it just reminded me a lot of those stuff, and it's funny because I definitely was not reading it when I was like, because a lot of those were a lot older than when I was actually reading stuff. But I saw enough of it, and I know enough about the history of manga and Japanese subs and dubs and stuff like that to know. I was just like, oh, this is a nice throwback. It is, but as is, if you were to just read this like as is, besides like him being in Japan, it's not really like manga to me. You get me?
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
actually fully expected to have to read this from right to left when I first opened it.
because
That would have been really cool.
I think that would have been really
yes.
cool too. But I get it because
Yes.
it's a completely you have to like one flip the images and it could be like difficult and just weird because we're so used to reading from front to back, left to right, instead of right to left that it could be it like mixes it up and it's a lot of effort for something that in the end you can just print as is. You get me?
Right.
Mhm.
And not only that, like if you would do it like the original manga way, then you would like cut off like 50% of your audience. Kind of,
Yes.
you know?
Mhm. Pretty much so. So I understand it, but that would be like my only criticism of it. It would be that like this doesn't really like read as manga, but like I get where he was coming from and I appreciate it and I did enjoy what it is that I read.
Yeah, and he was making references to like Speed Racer and other shows that he watched that I am not even familiar with, honestly. Like really, the only thing I kind of understood was Speed Racer, but as far as the other shows that he makes reference to, I have absolutely no idea. So
Mhm.
is Johnny Seko and his flying robot? Don't know who that is. Um, let's see, Gigantor, the planet. I mean, maybe it's an homage to that, which I don't know about.
That's what it
But
is.
yeah,
This is more not exactly like manga, but more like a manga homage.
Right.
homage.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, and I really like that. And you know what I really like was just the collaboration because you get like a different art style,
Yes,
and
I did
then you
enjoy
get
that
the
as well.
presentation of a character that someone else created that they blended into this story into this universe, and I thought that was super cool. Like I've always said, like it would be super great to like join like El Luchador Monty Gomez with Super Lucha Cats. I think that would be cool. But what do you think, Kristen?
So I fully expected to hate this because I am in no way, shape, or form a big mech or kaiju story person at all. I am not a Godzilla story movie person,
Mothra.
all that kind of
Mothra.
stuff. And so when you said we were going to read this, I was like, do I have to? I don't want to. But I really think that reading the forward really added to my experience reading the stories. And I really, similarly to both of you, appreciated the backstory of how the creation of each of the individual issues came to be. And the fact that the Manga Muerto Elseworlds parallel universe storyline has evolved over so many decades. I really thought that that was super interesting, which I would not have known just picking up this book without that forward. And even hearing the story of like how he and Ted would meet up, and he would drive all the way out here to the South Bay because this is where Ted is from.
Yeah.
And Eddie knows
Yeah.
Ted. He comes actually by during the antique fair when we do our we have a table, and he'll come by and he'll talk and he'll shoot the breeze with Eddie. And so when I saw his name in here, I was like, I had no idea that this existed and that he himself had created these characters. And so that was really interesting to me. It's a really cool thing to be able to hear the history of how the comic that you are reading has been made. And I actually found the storyline and the origin of Manga Muerto, of how Diego got control of Skeletron. I found that actually super interesting. It was very convenient, and there wasn't really a lot of description, and didn't go much into it. But I don't really think I needed that. I just needed to know Diego can control this big robot because he's dead, and the robot only responds to dead. So that's fine.
Yes.
And I also really appreciated the last the last issue, which Javier himself says he really enjoyed writing because it had nothing to do, for the most part, till the end, with big robots and Skeletron and all that. It was really just about Diego and his girlfriend and that relationship. So I
Yes.
ended up not hating it after all, and I really did like the collaboration aspect of it, but more so being able to learn and hear about how those collaborations came to be, and really how they evolved throughout the making of each individual issue.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually got this comic issue by backing the Kickstarter, and I backed it at the comic shop tier, I believe. It was absolutely affordable. It was super cool. And I'm sure you can find it at his website. I think it's Los Comics. It's LOS Comics, COMIX, I believe. Um, I am in the wrong space to look for it, and this 9.5 is hitting me.
No,
I am
same.
so
I'm
sorry.
feeling it right now.
I'm feeling it. Yeah, like
Well,
totally.
in the back of the book, it says elmuerto.com.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Elmuerto.com. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Gracias. And you know what I also really enjoyed about having this in actual physical format? First of all, I can't wait to share this with other like manga lovers, but I absolutely loved the like the not the fan art, but artists that are contributing to this comic, and drawing their own rendition of the characters in the storyline, and the storyline spanning in these like 4 different stories. Like this one I really loved. The art looks so familiar to me, but I cannot recall. And there's a list of
Yeah.
them, but I didn't.
The Manga
I
Muerto
didn't match them up.
Museum. And so what you're describing, Sarah, is what's considered in the industry as pinups. Yeah. And the pinups were done by Damon Begay, Brad Dwyer, Johnny Flores, Jose Iturriaga, Rafael Navarro, and Ted Seco.
So I know this is Navarro right here.
You can tell his
And
style a
I'm
mile
really
away.
loving these two. His
Mhm.
style, yes, it's so cool. No, I really, really enjoyed it. That, and also we got signed copies. I don't know if you guys noticed, but yes. So I'm, I in a sense, I really appreciate how he is so devoted to this character that he created, and that he's kind of like revamping it in different styles, like manga and this is, and giving it a kind of an Elseworlds feel, where if Diego had been an exchange student who went and did middle school in Japan and then went to high school in Japan, has a Japanese girlfriend named Mariko, who happens to be the daughter of Dr. Shimahara, who creates this robot called Skeleton that only answers to Diego de la Muerte, who works with Dr. Hydra, who creates other robots and stuff. It's just like really just kind of a like a really like kind of like a step by step kind of like I know you know him, he knows that, we know that.
Very
It's just really
convenient,
cool.
but it's the way of storytelling if condensed
Yes.
into a very small format.
Yeah, and I
But
think
also,
in his forward he mentions that he never even meant to do more than one. That it was just kind of like a fun
Right.
idea. So I can see how
And
for
it is
a
fun.
one shot things needed to be convenient because he had to get a lot into very little.
Yeah, I think at the very first story, which was actually written after the very last story in the book, which is interesting. I thought it was really fast paced, but then I got the hang of it, and then it just made
Mhm.
sense. And that's probably how the shows that this book was inspired by went by.
Yeah.
You know, catering to the younger audience who likes robots and kaiju, and like I totally get it, and it was really well done. And I really like where he throws in stuff like, what I keep thinking about right now. I keep thinking about Mariko making those chorizo sushi rolls that she mentioned
that
on the
sounds
beach.
so good right now.
It does, doesn't it? Oh my god, yes. I just like, oh hell yeah. Like why hasn't no one invented that? Because that sounds fire. That really does. But I think we're ready to rate the book. What is our rating scale, Kristen?
So our rating scale is on a scale of 1 to 3 conchas. 3 conchas being the most conchas that Jen's mom ever let her eat in one sitting. So of course that was the best. And then if we go over that scale, if the book just doesn't fit on the scale, we have our own personal rating scale. So I will go ahead and get started for a book that I thought I was going to hate and that I had absolutely no interest in whatsoever because of sorry Javier, but it's true, because of the whole manga mech aspect. Like, I'm not a manga reader. And the mangas that I have read, it has taken me so long to like reacclimate to reading from right to left. And so
Even Sailor Moon?
I've never read Sailor Moon. Oh yeah, we read one.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did, you liar.
We read one. That's right. And I did enjoy Sailor Moon, but it's just not my go-to. Plus, it's black and white.
Yeah.
It's just
And we know how she feels about black and white.
Yes, we do know.
We
do
know. We know.
Which is incredible that you collected the Walking Dead.
I know. So
Yes.
I am gonna give it tres conchas.
Excellent. This is Sarah, and I'm going to give it the whole panaderia because I don't know, it was reminiscent of the times where I was like watching Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, Candy, Heidi, and it just I really like I like that the first story that he wrote in 2009 was the very last story printed on the book because it kind of brought everything around and kind of really closed it up in a good bow. And I'm just a fan of Diego de la Muerte. What about you, Jen?
You guys are gonna make me feel so bad.
Yeah.
I'm giving it 2 conchas. This is not to say, look, you're still getting 2 conchas. I did love it. And it did again make me reminisce. I don't know if that is in itself an effect of the book. Well, it might be because you reminisced, Sarah, as well. But it was a fun book. I don't know if it blew me out of the water. So just 2 conchas for me. You still get 2 conchas. You're fine. It's okay, Javier.
Well, his body of work is so vast. This is just a drop in the vastness of his body of work. So I think this was a fun book that he just wanted to release out there. I mean, he didn't even mean to write more than one issue of it because he wrote it back in 2009 and he just released it in 2004. So come on. That is like,
2004.
Back in time, did he?
He went back in time. 2024.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I'm like,
2024.
what?
Sorry. Okay, 9.5, ladies and gentlemen, 9.5. And I didn't eat dinner, so yeah. Sorry. But yeah, so he's going back in time, and I'm just reminiscing about that because I just saw all three Back to the Future movies almost back to back.
Oh, wow.
So yes, I I really um I really am so happy that people can do that, could go back and just grab a body of work and just kind of like remold it and redistribute it, I thought that was really kind of an awesome thing that he did, just to kind of give it a new life and just kind of like rethink the project. I think that was awesome. So anyway, that was our book review. All right, guys, it's now time for En la Librería. Jen, what do you have for us today?
So today I have Jet Set Reverie issues 1 and 2, English French language. Jet Set Reverie is a psychedelic comic saga following Captain Skylark and her cutthroat crew of demon marauders. So, this is being done by Comics to Movies Publishing, which is Australia's premier graphic novel and comic book publishing business. They have launched successful titles like the award-winning and number one selling series, The Extreme Champion Tournament, sci-fi series Terra Olympus, alternate history series Talos of Sparta, and the newly launched dystopian cyberpunk detective series Fractured Shards. So, I'm just going to read from the story synopsis that they have here. They have it both in French and English. So, Jet Set Reverie is a psychedelic comic saga following Captain Skylark and her cutthroat crew of dream marauders. Together, they plunder the most valuable resource in the cosmos, raw unconsciousness. This Kickstarter will launch issues number 1 and 2, which form a standalone one-shot story within the expansive Jet Set universe. Melding science fiction and fantasy swashbuckling, Jet Set Reverie explores the essence of dreams drawn from cutting-edge research in neuroscience. Think Pirates of the Caribbean meets Inception with a dash of Doctor Who. A comic made for dreamers and psychonautical renegades. We have all asked ourselves that question. What if my dreams aren't just in my head? What if they really mean something? Jet Set Reverie seeks to answer such questions by celebrating the beauty of our unconscious. This book is a love letter to comic fans craving stories that challenge the status quo and explore the potential for individual agency in an increasingly tech manipulated world. Featuring deliciously twisted psychedelic heists, Jet Set Reverie offers a cathartic escape where underdog heroes fight back against the systemic exploitation of the human mind, resonating with the desire to protect one's individuality and fight for the freedom of thought. A voyage across the conscious seas, a realm at the edge of the universe where dreams, all dreams, manifest in physical spacetime and pirates roam the tides of the sentient slumber. And then they have like a preview of the comic right here. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. It is very very psychedelic. A lot of bright colors, a lot of like basically dream logic. Um, then it continues, what you're in for. A thrilling adventure story with vibrant visuals, mind bending concepts, and humor, Jet Set Reverie delivers a spacefaring escapade rich in sci fi lore, brimming with fantastical creatures and exhilarating imaginative set pieces. It taps into our primal love for exploring the unknown and marveling at the nonsensical, something we all need in far too practical society for its own good. Issues numbers 1 and 2 will form a standalone one shot with the expensive Jet Set universe. We've already said that. And then they give us more previews. They give us synopsis of who the crew is. So James Vincent is the creator writer. He's a lifelong comic book reader, fascinated by the interplay of myth making and the unconscious mind. He has also worked. He has films that have been screened at prestigious festivals such as the Palm Springs International Films Festival, Festival de Cannes, Leeds International Film Festival, and the Burbank International Film Festival. His debut feature Slant won Best Australian Film at Monsterfest 2022 and was nominated for Best Direction at the Australian Directors Guild Awards in 2023 and is now available on streaming. Deborah Lacanese, sorry, is the artist. Deborah is an Italian artist who graduated from the International School of Comics in 2020 and is the artist of multi-award winning series spin-off Aquila. She has since been working on graphic novels and comic series such as Werewolf, Quicksand, The Lost Gardens, Heist on Alpha, and more. Then they have Simon Robbins as the colorist, uh, Deborah, no, Dirbala Kelly as a colorist for issue number 2, and Sean Keenan as the co-creator editor. So the base pledge, well, let's get more into details. So right now they have a goal of 3,343 they have actually exceeded. They're currently at 4,423 with 82 backers and 19 days to go. It looks like a really, really fun comic that's full of like interesting sci-fi lore or like sci-fi dynamics. And the base pledge, well, you can always make a pledge without expecting a reward. You can just back it because you want to support it. But the base pledge starts at 10 Australian dollars, which is about $7 US. You get
Oh,
it is a digital PDF bundle. So it comes with Jet Set Reverie issues 1 and 2. And the exciting titles Aquila, Shadow's Daughter, and Sisterhood. The next tier is 25 Australian dollars, which is about 17 US. And it is Jet Set Reverie issues numbers 1 and 2 main covers. So these are actually physical copies that you get for $17 of issues numbers 1 and 2, which isn't that bad. And then the next tier up is variant covers, which is about 27 US dollars. And the next tier above that is it's all about the cover. So you grab the main covers, the variant covers for 47 US. Go ahead and check it out. It looks really, really cool. You can check to see if the art style is something that you are interested in. But it looks really, really cool, really bright, really colorful, full of sci-fi logic and lore, mixed in with dreams. Uh, so if you're like a really big sci-fi person, or even someone who is interested in fantasy with more of a like scientific edge, this definitely seems to be what it's edging at. And the artwork does really look amazing. It is Jet Set Reverie, JETSET, space REVERIE, on Kickstarter.
That sounds cool.
that's really interesting. It's really interesting that it's like a translated in French, but it comes from Australia, which I wonder what that story behind that is. But sounds really cool. Sounds really cool. All right, guys. Now it's time for Juntos y Fuertes. What do you have for us today, Kristen?
Okay. So, because it is Suicide Prevention Month, I just wanted to share some what I call resources for people out there if they need them. And I mentioned the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention earlier. They are the organization that helped with the creation of A Haunted Girl. And they have a crisis hotline to be accessed 24/7. You can call them or text them at apparently just putting in 988 into your phone, or you can text talk to 741-741. And the thing that I wanted to really make sure that we shared is that there is also a line. It's also the same line for Spanish. So if you wanted to call in or can't call or text in Spanish, you just use the same numbers, 988 to call or text, and then you can text talk to 741-741. And then apparently there's accessibility in multiple languages, but they have that 24-hour crisis line, and then they have also further resources on their website, and the website is AFSP, standing for American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.org. So AFSP.org.
Wow, that's really awesome that you mentioned that during this month. I don't know if you guys are aware that they introduced a new singer for Linkin Park like earlier this month, and we all know that Chester Bennington, the lead vocalist of the original Linkin Park, committed suicide. And so I think it's kind of it was a time sensitive kind of announcement, and also wanted to pay tribute and also just be aware of Suicide Prevention Month. So
And not only that, as
thank you.
someone who struggles a lot with suicidal ideation in my really bad moments, and who has struggled with, I mean, not just suicidal ideations. I did try, way back when. I just want to say is that you are never alone. You really truly aren't. Even when it feels like you are not. Just simply speaking out, and speaking to someone, you'll realize just how quickly not only you are loved or you are cared for. And you don't have to, if the hotline seems too much, it is very, very easy, even though it seems like it's impossible, to just simply reach out to the people that you know, or even just do not underestimate the kindness of strangers as well. Like, it may seem that
Absolutely.
that nobody cares, but I guarantee you that someone does. That you will find
Yes.
someone who does care. If not,
Yes.
the hotline is there for you. You are not alone.
You are not alone. Thank you for saying that. All right, guys, it's now time for Saludos. And Saludos today is not really Saludos, more of a memoriam. James Earl Jones, who voiced Darth Vader,
King.
the greatest villain of all freaking time, and also Lion King's Mufasa. And
The
I
second
actually
greatest villain
remember
of all
him
time.
dearly. The second greatest villain of all time, yes.
Oh my god.
I actually, and the third greatest villain in my book of all time is I remember him as in Conan the Barbarian, where he played the really evil guy who turns into a snake, which fucking freaked me out because I hate snakes. Oh, that was just such a powerful moment in cinematic history for me as a child watching that. It was so amazing. But a freaking motherfucking, I'm gonna say it,
An icon
great.
of pop culture.
An icon, a freaking icon. Welcome to America. My God. I mean, it just he won. He is an EGOT. He was an EGOT person. EGOT is a person who wins an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. That is the epitome of greatness. And so just a handful of people have EGOTs. And EGOT is not one gift. It's not one prize. It's like a multiple prizes for one person. And that is just freaking amazing. So, I mean, yes, he was 93, so he lived a
Wow, I
whole
didn't
life.
realize he was
And
that old. But I
He was still
he looked
acting. He
so
was still
I
good.
remember talking about the fact that he was giving licensure to Disney for usage of his voice for any further
Yes.
projects that they needed it
Yes.
for. I thought that was
In the
really
future,
interesting.
yes.
And I mean, his family's gonna,
Yes.
his family down to his freaking great grandchildren fifth removed, they're gonna be able to prosper off of that.
Oh,
which is probably why he did it.
100%.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
am, like I get that.
No,
It's a
but
whole
his
thing,
voice
but
is
still.
so freaking iconic. Like, you gotta freaking,
Like,
put a patent on that. You
That's not
gotta
a voice
like,
you can replace.
Right.
Like
No,
he is
no.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
If they ever put
Yes.
anybody else, everybody's gonna immediately know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is in memoriam to him, James Earl Jones, one of the greatest icon, just legendary, just amazing. Um, damn, I just just thinking about all his work just makes me shiver. He was just so iconic. Even his image, is actually persona on the big screen was just amazing. Like I said in Conan the Barbarian, oh my God. And then like as the king of in Welcome to America 1 and 2. I mean, he was just anyway, he just put a big smile on my face that he lived up to 93. So cheers. I'm just glad to have lived in your era. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Where can they find us,
You can
Kristen?
find us at comadresycomics.com, where you can find all of our links to all of our social media, which we are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, now X,
Sort of
TikTok,
X.
which I need to do more TikToks.
Me too.
We
Yeah.
were on Snapchat at some point. And also,
I don't think we are anymore.
yeah.
Snapchat is so old. Yeah.
And for those of you not watching on YouTube, we are on YouTube. So check us out on the YouTube, on our channel. You can find us at Comadres y Comics podcast, and you can watch us each week while we record.
Absolutely. And don't forget, like, just keep in touch with us, listen to our episodes, or watch us on YouTube, or even just follow us on social media, because we actually do go to comic conventions. And the next one I think we'll be at is Latino Comics Expo at MOLA, coming soon. Just keep us in on your radar to know what date and time, and come on down, say hello. We have free swag, so come on down. We can't wait to see you guys and take pictures with you and chat with you. It's been so great. Thank you so much for listening. We will not be here without you. Thank you so much for your patience and for sharing your time with us. We are your hosts. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jen.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
And that's on Period Network.